So 2023 is definitely going to go down as one of the most successful years in gaming, period. The amount of games that have come out this year is absolutely amazing. The AAA games, the quality indie games, it's been absolutely amazing to actually see so many game developers release so many quality games back to back to back every single month. We're not even at the most busiest time of the year, which is now from October to about December, when most of the AAA games that are like blockbusters come out. Now, on the flip side, 2023 is also the year that I have seen the most layoffs, the most companies closing, the most people unemployed, and something is going on in our industry, in our beloved games industry. And I'd like to talk about it in this video. I do think that we are in for a change, and I think that change is going to eventually be for the better. But on the short term, I think it's going to be very painful to a lot of people, and I really think that I need to speak about this. So let's get to it. Welcome to another video, guys. My name is Harvey Newman. If you're new here, I actually like to talk about the games industry, animation, because that was my career, and most recently about my studio Proxima that we started as of a year and a half, 2 years ago, and we are loving working on this game, on this studio with these amazing people. Now, in this video specifically, I want to give you my perspective on some of the changes, some of the things going on in the industry right now, because I do think that we are going through a process of change in this industry, and I think that is a crucial moment that we are going through right now, where gamers are incredibly happy with the quality of the games coming through and all the AAA quality, and it's amazing. But I also think that gamers are also very frustrated with some of the decisions being made by some of the companies around the world that involve money, right? Involve profits. This is a make it or break it point for the industry as we are right now. And I think that if you look at the indie industry, I think that's a very bright way forward as we actually keep going and growing as an industry. So the very first thing that I have my book here with my notes, but the very first point I want to make is that this year has been incredibly successful for games, even though for some people, if you actually look at just the negative feedback and the negative articles, it might look like the worst year for games ever. But in reality, I think that this is one of the most incredible years when it comes to games of high quality that people actually really want to play. And I think when it comes to the games industry and the health of game industry in terms of people wanting to play games now more than ever, I think that is an absolute resounding yes, because I do think that gamers now more than ever are invested in this industry, and I think the industry's future is bright when it comes to having people care for the games, having people really be invested in the games, and that's absolutely beautiful. Some of the best games that came out this year, and I made a list here, and I kind of ran out of space because I was going through the list, and I was like, if I keep going, I'm going to do a whole list, a whole page full of games. But some of the games that come out this year has been most recently Starfield, Immortals of Avium, that was a massive success, Baldur's Gate, Pikmin 4, Dave the Driver, Diablo 4, Street Fighter 6, Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Dredge. I'm just talking about the successful games. Resident Evil 4, the remake, a big year for remakes and remasters. Metroid Prime, the remaster, Dead Space, the remaster, and then Horizon Call of the Mountain as well, Horizon 2. This is just some of the highlights of the year, and there's going to be more coming towards the end of this year. The year is not by no stretch of imagination finished. I fully imagine that a lot of amazing games are about to come out over the next 3 months, and I'm really looking forward to it. As incredible as the work that people have put into those games and the passion is, obviously you can see it left, right, and center. It's been a year of weirdness in terms of like layoffs, companies closing, documents getting leaked, companies having some weird decision making when it comes to their engines of future of the company. And I feel like a lot of companies are going through this rediscovery process of where is the profit in this industry. And the reason why I'm passionate about this and I'm talking about this is because I have a new perspective now more than ever, because I'm now a company owner and we are working in a game, and I'm seeing all the publishing side, I'm seeing all the investment side, I'm seeing all the profit side, and you have to actually make presentations and talk to people and talk about profits and how you're gonna, and it just gives me a very good perspective of being like in the roles of some of the higher ups. Obviously, our company is not profitable in any ways right now because we're just getting started, but I can clearly see that there is actually a connection to what the company would be like if it was profitable, in some of the decision making and some of the barriers that you might find as a studio in order to get to those yes or no decisions, right? I also want to say that being a developer for so long gives me the perspective of somebody working in the trenches and being incredibly dedicated to the job and making sure that they do the absolute best job they can in order for the game to be as successful as it possibly can. Now, having said all that, the very first thing that I would say is that it sucks so bad when you work for years in a game and your game gets canceled, or the company gets closed, or the game gets dismissed in any ways. And I think the most recent example has been Hyenas by Creative Assembly. Shout out to everybody at Creative Assembly. I worked in Creative Assembly. People are absolutely amazing at Creative Assembly. But having a company or having a team working in a game for 6 years and then having it being canceled, that is the worst thing that can happen to you as a game dev. I worked in a game called Fable Legends for Lionhead when it was still around for a good 3 years or so. And the game, to me, at least internally, felt amazing. And the team was super proud of the work, and it was canceled last minute. And I never knew exactly why it was canceled. Till this day, I don't know why it was canceled. And it hurts. And it hurts because you have put so much of your effort and your skills and your passion, and you love people that actually work with you, and you have like a really tight-knit team, and you love working for this project, for this team, to see it dissolve and being absolutely powerless to actually kind of like do anything about it. It feels horrible. It feels incredibly bad, and I hope nobody, my hope is that nobody has to go through it. And games is a medium that takes a long time for you to actually see the end result. And we get into a longer and longer development cycles. So having 6 years, spending 6 years in a project, that's a whole lot of time of your life spent in one thing that people will never see, and you'll never be able to put it on a show reel or showcase it or put on your CV. Or even if you do, people won't know about it because it didn't make a splash. People don't know about it, right? So it sucks so bad for people to actually go through it, and I feel for every developer out there that had to go through it this year or any other year before then, because I do think that this is becoming more of a recurring thing. When my project was canceled back then, it was just the one, and it doesn't happen very often. Unfortunately, Lionhead was folded and no longer exists, which, it sucks, and shout out to everybody in Lionhead as well. Now, this is the dark side of working in games. Spend a long time on a project that you may or may not see the future of. Now, because of this, a lot of people feel like they actually can rely on AAA studios that have a certain pedigree, that you are for sure guaranteed that your game is going to come out. This was the truth 5 years ago. This is the truth, I think, up to last year. However, the industry is changing so much now that even big studios out there that you would think that absolutely this is never going to happen to my studio, and we're going to work for 7 years in this game and absolutely it's going to come out. Now you have to wonder and ponder if this is true, because as the game development cycles get longer and longer, and as games become more and more expensive, there's only a finite amount of money that people can actually make from this industry. We already make more money than films and books and every other like multimedia genre out there. And we are in the billions and billions and trillions of dollars. Profits can only go so far. We need to find a way that this industry can sustainably create games that are quality, that make the community happy, makes gamers happy, and keeps the money flowing as best as possible. So I made also a list of the layoffs, the companies that made layoffs this year. And this is me not kind of pointing fingers at anybody, but Unity actually laid off about 284 staff early this year, and then had another round of layoffs at some point. Google laid off 12,000 staff. A lot of those were actually Google Stadia people because they folded Google Stadia, so that no longer exists. Tilting Point, 440 staff. EA Games, 700 staff. Ubisoft, quite a lot, percentage of staff. Epic Games, most recently, about 800 staff. Sega did as well. Even Roblox, even though it was in a smaller scale, did a lot of layoffs as well. And The layoffs is the first symptom of people trying to make profits for shareholders that are trying to constantly, year over year, getting more and more money. Now, there's nothing wrong with this, even though it sounds like absolutely evil, but there's nothing wrong with actually having a company or having a CEO that is trying to fight for more and more profits. I think the problem is that the games industry is an incredibly passionate industry, and gamers spend a lot of their time working or playing in one game, right? So what you're asking for is for somebody to pay $30 to $70 to actually then spend a good 20 to 60 to 100 hours in your game, right? So the more time you invest, your personal time in your game, the more you start to feel like this game needs to be good in order for you to truly invest time in this game. So then you start to be picky about what kind of game do you actually want to invest your time in, and the game better be good, and the game better have all the bells and whistles already inside in order for you to truly invest in this game, because there's nothing worse for you to spend 60 hours in a game, 100 hours in a game, and then something else drops, like, I don't know, a last update, a next update, or whatever it is, and it just breaks the matter of the game. It breaks like what used to make the game good, and now you kind of like left with this game and this progress that is absolutely shattered, and you no longer want to play this game, so you feel like you just wasted your time. So gamers are actually vexed for so many reasons, and with good reason, right? So I do think that there's a few champions that are actually there to showcase the way for the future. I think Baldur's Gate is the best example that came out of this year, and I think that is an incredibly good game to actually see where the future of the games industry is going. And in a lot of ways, the future of the industry is going where the industry used to be, because if you actually think about the games industry 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you normally used to actually go ahead, buy the disc, the DVD or the Blu-ray disc they used to get, and then when you go to that shop and you get that disc, you actually get the full game in your hands, and you cannot wait to get home to put that disc in your console. And then sometimes you'd have to actually kind of like wait for it to load or whatever it is, or install. But you know that once that disc is in your console and you're playing that game, you're getting the whole game, right? And you're actually getting a full experience. And you cannot wait to kind of get tucked in and just enjoy the game. I think what Baldur's Gate has done now this year is remind us that actually used to work incredibly well, and we need more of that now. And I think what gamers are actually asking, I mean, different people are asking different things, but I think at least a partial section of the gamers are asking is, give me a game that is fully made, and I don't have to actually either pay more money to get more of the game or to finish the game. I just want to actually get the full experience in one go, and that's about it. And there's certain things that you can do in order to make sure that you get your voice heard. But overall, I do think that the industry is getting to this inflection point that we need to change. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. I do think that sometimes change can come at a higher price and is a bit more complicated and complex and hard to go through than other times. And I think this is going to be one of those years that I think that people are going to look back and go, this was the beginning of something greater later. As I mentioned on the Baldur's Gate video that I did a few weeks back, I think that right now the shining light of the games industry is the indie devs. The studios that are not owned by a massive multi-billion company. And the reason why I'm not saying this because a multi-billion company is bad, I'm saying this as in they have more flexibility to actually change things, to do things their own way. I think there's many studios out there that actually do it and do it incredibly well. Larian Games is a good example, Baldur's Gate, Supermassive Games I think is another one when they do Hades and all that stuff. They kind of like keep themselves into their lane. They're not just particularly owned by any one big conglomerate, which is amazing, and allows them to kind of like do things slightly different. Listen more to their community, find bugs, they find problems, they feedback information, and therefore you keep on making the game better. And I think that relationship is incredibly important. It's becoming more and more important the more we grow as an industry, because one thing is for sure is that out of all the industries out there, I think gamers and games are the most vocal, the most passionate, which is actually a really, really beneficial asset that we have as a games developer. Games is the only place that I know that people actually kind of like, you have a Gamescom, right? People gather in hordes, thousands and thousands of people to actually see people play games and demonstrate games, having game booths and stuff like that, because it's interactive medium. You can feel it, it gives you a good feeling. It's absolutely amazing. You have the GDCs of the world, you have so many conventions around that they are absolutely amazing, and that allow people to kind of like interact with each other, and it's very niche as well. So you feel like, if you're a gamer, if you're a nerd, you know a lot about games, you collect games perhaps, then you actually are with your people whenever you go to these events. So it feels very much like people are passionate about it. So the more studios listen to a community, the more studios listen to the people that are actually supporting them, no matter how small they are, the better the game ends up being, because then you have an identity that you can actually form with your community. So the earlier you do it, just like as a Proxima, the better it is, because then you start to see where your Achilles heels are, where your flaws are, and then you can actually improve from then. I think there's thousands, hundreds, millions of people out there that want to be that kind of gamer, that I'm an informed gamer. I know more or less how games are made, so therefore I want to express my opinion and tell you what I think is good or bad about this game in particular, because it's the best game that I like. It's my game, my favorite game of all time, right? So that is where I think things are going next. I think we are in a very important point. I think people should pay attention to this year, 2023, mainly because of the massive discrepancy between the amazing games that came out that are absolutely amazing in terms of quality, quantity, and every other metric that you can look at. And also you have to look at how many companies out there are laying off people, are actually closing down doors, are hiring more contractors than ever, which is also a problem, because the more you hire contractors, the less healthy it is for a company to actually consistently make good games, because you're just getting people in and out, and it's just horrible for so many reasons. So there is a lot of problems going with the systematic way that we've been making games so far, and things need to change. And for me specifically, I think that we need to look at the AA, the indie dev that is actually trying to make games for the passion and for the sake of making a good game and nothing else, because gamers are getting incredibly savvy, and they know when a game is made with passion, with good intention, and it has all the bells and whistles. And when it doesn't, when a game comes out just to make money and it's all like a cash cow, gamers at this point in time, they know about it, and they can sense it, they can smell it, they know exactly where it's coming from, and they won't support it anymore. And this is actually a good place for us to be as an industry. I think it's a bright future in the end. But it feels horrible to see it unfold in front of us and not capable of doing anything. I think most people are feeling like that now. Everybody knows that it's horrible to actually see companies close. Everybody knows that it's horrible to be laid off. Everybody knows that it's horrible to actually work on something for so long and then see it crumble. But nobody knows exactly how to actually make a change that goes off and just fixes things, right? I think part of the problem here is that time will solve things, and I think we need all of us, both developers, publishers, and gamers, we all need time to figure out exactly where this is going. But I do think that we should talk about it, and this is why I made this video. Drop a comment down below, let me know what you think, let me know what vexes you as a gamer, and let me know as well, what other games do you enjoy, what are other redundancies that made you feel the worst, especially if you're a game developer like myself, because those things kind of like hurt more when you are a developer, when you see your fellow friends and colleagues that you worked with in different companies getting laid off, even though you know that they are absolutely talented and anybody would be incredibly lucky to have them. So yeah, let me know about all those things. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, give it a like, and also definitely drop a comment with your thoughts as well. Also, I have this community, this gathering of people in my channel. So click the join button if you're curious to know more. And that's all I had for you guys today. Thanks a lot for all my backers here on YouTube. You can see their names here. And until the next video, stay well, stay safe. Peace.